Hi there, you're watching Time Warner Cable's local edition. This is the Sacramento Report. I'm Jaime Garza, joined today by Assemblyman Bill Berryhill. Good to have you here.
Nice to be here, Jaime.
Unemployment rate, still very, very high in California, over 12%. We're trying to create jobs here, and we've talked to a lot of folks who've said there are things that need to be changed. We need to look at our taxes. We need to look at our regulatory procedures. You're a businessman. You're a farmer.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Regulations, I think, are the greatest impediment to job creation in California. We've got to start to get a handle on the regulatory agencies who I believe have gotten a little bit out of control. We have no oversight from the legislature of these agencies, and it's really bureaucrats gone wild in Sacramento. And some of the things are them trying to react to federal legislation, but a lot of it is also California legislation. And so, you know, my goal as a legislator up here is to try to develop policies that will try to get a handle on these agencies so that we can do some oversight and make sure that we don't have cross regulations. For an example, guy up in Clements, California, retrofitted his D7 Caterpillar, cost him over $40,000, only to find out he was meeting the Air Resource Board standard, but then found out OSHA wouldn't let him drive it because it was too much heat on the driver. And so these kinds of issues we need to get sorted out, and through oversight we can do that. But right now there is none, and we've got to get a handle on it.
You know, that could be very disturbing. And I talk to a lot of business owners who say, you know, to do business in California really is a major challenge. You know, these are young men and women who say, I want to build something in this state, but I don't know if I want to anymore. I don't know if it's worth it anymore.
It's the psychological impact of regulation and the fact that every time you turn around, they're laying a fine or charging you a fee, and it just starts to wear on you. And I think we're going to lose a lot of our young, talented people to other states because at some point they don't want to be here. No one wants to do business if you feel like you're being a criminal. And there's so many regulations out there, and they are so aggressively pursuing fines and fees for businesses that eventually you don't want to do it and you leave. We talked to a number of businesses my first year up here when we went to Reno and listened to businesses that had left California. The primary reason they left, the aggressive nature, not necessarily even the regulation, but the aggressive nature of regulators. Every time they turned around, they were at their doorstep and they were snooping around to find something in violation so they could level a fine. That's got to stop.
Well, we know that we want to do things the right way. Right. I mean, we got to protect the employees who work for these business people here. But where does it come from where you feel like you are being watched, overly watched, should I say?
Right.
Where does that sense come from? Is it because they're knocking on the door, or is it the point where you're feeling like I'm trying to do the right thing and I just don't seem to do it the way the state wants me to do it?
Right. And I think it's a little of both. But there's nothing more uncomfortable than trying to do that right thing but not being able to. And that's why when I talk about overlapping regulations, it's a big problem. And we need to get our agencies talking with each other and give business a chance. Well, we're never going to attract business if we don't.
So how do we streamline? I mean, what's the first step here?
Well, I think there's we had a number of jobs bills last year. Many of them dealt with regulatory process. And I think that's where we have to focus, is we want to make sure it's a fair process. And so another example, Air Resource Board levied a fine on a friend of mine. He was out of town. Somebody lit his burn pile on fire while he was gone. He wanted to fight it. But who's he have to fight? He has to go to the Air Resource Board that gave him the fine. There's no third party. So they're judge, jury, and executioner. And so, you know, I proposed a bill that creates a third party dispute resolution. Those kinds of things are very important.
At least it's one step,
it's
right?
It's a step.
It's a step. Yep. Assemblyman Bill Berryhill, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And thank you at home for watching Time Warner Cable's local edition, the Sacramento Report.